Hi guys, and welcome back to another DrAce video, and today we're going to be playing RiMS Racing. We are going to be using the MV Agusta F4 right here in the Fuji Speedway. So starting at the back of the grid, we are going to be utilising no electronics for this particular video. This was requested a while ago and I wanted to make a video with zero electronics enabled. So of course, TCS, 0, anti-wheelie, 0, and engine brake is also on 0. Now, I have to be honest with you, I'm not fully confident in this track. I have never ridden here before, and I've actually never seen this track before as we make contact with one of the Kawasaki's to the right-hand side there. But I've got to say, I do really like this track. I have done a little bit in practice, and I even attempted qualifying mode. But I must say, I am really pleased to be tackling a new track. The Circuit Zolder was new to me, and now, of course, this particular track is new as well. And I gotta say, I do like the additional challenge of trying out a brand new track, or at least a brand new track for me. Now going on the left-hand side, the AI is going to get a little bit out of shape there, as you just seen. Unfortunately, as mentioned before, this is the RiMS Racing preview, and the AI is not up to scratch yet. The AI still requires a lot of work to be done, and therefore why we have a few issues going into a couple of the corners. So that one there just a moment ago obviously ended out very, very badly for some of the riders. You're going to say the same thing here, where Asher Lee and Spencer Craig getting a little bit contact with me. The FV Agusta bumping into the side of his bike as we get closer and closer to Asher Lee. I do feel rather confident on this track though, compared to the likes of the Nürburgring and Zolder. I did feel like I was losing a bit, but here I do feel really, really confident. The more I've played this game, the better the bikes have felt. And honestly, turning off the electronics might have been the best thing yet. There's a lot more feeling, there's a lot more movement within the bike. Now the anti-wheelie is extremely strong, so when you turn that off, you really feel the wheelies. And the wheeling in this game is rather aggressive. Like, the bikes do wheelie quite a bit when you pull on the throttle with anti-wheelie on 0, but only in the bottom gears. If you're in first, second gear, you'll have a hard time with it, but if you're in third or fourth gear, it's absolutely fine. Now I wanted to mention the traction control because I do feel like on RiMS Racing you can pull the throttle quite a lot, and the bike doesn't seem to really kick out too much. Now I am finding with the Fuji Speedway you can be rather aggressive with this MV Agusta, and the bike still feels rather planted. It feels very safe here in the Fuji Speedway, but when I tried this in Circuit Zolder, the bike seemed to really kick out a lot, especially going up the undulation parts, like a little bit of a hill, or maybe going downhill, turning the bike over, getting a bit of wheelie, just caused a crash every time. And of course I am using the SC1 front tyre and the SCX tyres on the back, which of course is the Pirelli's version of the Super Softs. Now of course this game has a plethora of tyres, I mentioned this last time, and in the review there is so many tyres to choose from, and sometimes I don't know what the AI choose. I don't know whether the AI are choosing the best tyres available, or if they're just going for the intermediates, like is usually as the preset for this particular game. But we're now going to the 13th corner, and now onto the left-hand side for the 14th corner, which is of course the GR Supra corner. Beautifully navigated there to chuck in this MV Agusta around this magnificent Fuji track. I've got to say, I will be definitely jumping on this track once again when RiMS Racing is released, and of course that is on the 19th of August. Just to quickly mention as well, guys, this will be my last video on RiMS Racing on the preview. The next video will have to wait until the actual release date of the game, but I must say I am super grateful for the opportunity from Nacon and Raceward Studio, so once again, big thank you to you guys for allowing me the chance and the opportunity to show the aces this magnificent game. But of course, just because my content will end on RiMS Racing for the time being, doesn't mean that I won't be covering anything in the near future if this game pops up once again. But I'm got to say, I am rather looking forward to the 19th of August. It is a pre-order that I would definitely recommend you all jump on board with. I do feel like this game has got a lot of potential. I also feel this game has a lot of personality, much different from the likes of Ride and MotoGP. I like a lot of the details of the game, the plethora of tyres, of course the scratching on the left-hand side of the bike there. It is so cool. Little details like that make me smile. I do really enjoy the attention to detail on the outside of the track as well, such as debris getting kicked up into the face, the wacky waving arm inflatable tube man from the other video I did just a couple of days ago, the rider's leathers, and of course the bike's looking great anyway. Just really good stuff, and of course I mustn't forget the fans cheering in the background. I've always loved the sound of fans cheering. I think it's fantastic, and it just looks so good in the video game. But that is pretty much me discussing RiMS Racing in total. Right now we're actually looking at the gameplay, of course, in Fuji Speedway. and I've got to say I feel really confident on the motorcycle here. I really can't wait to be tackling this track a little bit further and maybe learning some other bikes on this particular track. I can't wait till the AI is back up to full strength. I'm looking forward to see how the AI will cope. Are they going to have similar issues to the likes of the Milestone games? Is it going to be too hard? Is it going to be too easy? There's a lot of questions still yet to be answered, but I can't wait to find out what it's going to be. And of course, guys, you guys have probably tried out the demo by now. If you haven't, I would highly recommend you jump on to Steam and check out the PC demo. Not sure when the PlayStation, Xbox demos are going to arrive. However, if I do find anything, of course, I will always let you guys know. Best place to find me is into the comment section down below, or even on social media. You can find all those links in the description down below, or even at the end of the video you will see my particular social media handles. Of course, this is not a full review of the video game itself. I have already done a video on RiMS Racing just last week, so if you want to see a detailed review looking at different features and other things that might pique your interest, I would check out that video after watching this one. And I even got another video on there as well, looking at the Atlantic Road. But the track selection in this game is pretty good. It's quite varied as well. It's not just going to be the same particular tracks recycled one after another. We got some different tracks in there, such as the Circuit Paul Ricard. I like to see the Canadian Tire Grand Prix in here, and of course one of my personal favourites, Laguna Seca and Silverstone. Some great tracks on offer, and I really enjoyed the road circuit we did a couple of days ago. The Atlantic Road, I rather enjoyed that one. And I rather enjoyed some of the other ones, which of course are a bit of a mystery yet, because of course you guys don't know what the tracks are, so I won't divulge too much information and ruin the surprise. We're going into one of the final corners now. Lap 4 out of 7 will be completed in a moment's time. I gotta say, I do really love the way the bike picks up out of the corners. I do find that to do it on the other games, such as Milestones games, you have to be really gentle with the bike, but here in RiMS, it sort of does it for you, where the bike just gradually sits up to its 0 degrees natural position, and then of course you can start chucking it in to wherever you want to be. Of course, I'm a big sucker for chucking out the right or left boot in a couple of corners, as we get a little bit too aggressive there on the acceleration, and I must say I really love the way RiMS Racing navigate the boot onto the floor. It looks really cool and it feels natural. I do like that one so far. Now I want you to have a look in the bottom right hand corner of your screen. You will see the heads-up display for the particular bike, you'll see the speedometer, you'll see the gears that are in, the electronics, the lean angle, and of course on the right hand side you're going to see the tyres. This is of course how you can pay attention to the bike itself. Now you do have the MSC, which I'll show you later on, that is the motorbike status check. But on the right hand side of the screen you will see that the front tyre is looking a little bit worse for wear. It's nothing too concerning, but it is yellow, so we'll have to pay attention to that. And of course we are utilising the super soft compound, if you will, but the rest of the components seem to be fine. The fuel doesn't seem to be depleting at any alarming rate. I'm not sure if the fuel has been turned on for these particular videos, because I haven't really noticed the fuel sort of drop or deplete in any way or fashion. Now of course that probably will be changed as the game will launch in August, but for the time being in this preview build it might not be working as expected right now. Now I made a little bit of a mistake coming out of that corner there. I dropped into neutral by mistake. Now I did this quite a couple of times in the Circuit Zolder as well, and it's something I'm learning to not do. Now I've read this as a criticism to the game where going into a neutral is a negative, but for me I think it's a positive, because when I play the likes of MotoGP and Ride, I tend to abuse the downshifting beyond first gear, and therefore I do feel like I should have been punished for just spamming the circle button to drop down the gears. Circle button is my particular favourite for dropping down a gear. So I don't know how you guys feel about that. Personally for me I like that. I like having the option to drop it into neutral regardless of being on semi-automatic or on manual. I play semi-automatic with the downshifts myself, and then all the upshifts the game takes care of. I tend to vary between the both, hence the reason I say semi-automatic rather than just fully automatic, because a lot of times if I find the bike is wheeling too much in corners, or it might be wheeling up a hill, I'll just manually up a shift or down a shift, whether it is necessary or required for that particular moment. Let me know in the comment section down below what you guys prefer. Do you guys prefer manual or semi-automatic, or do you not really mind? Now in the community I find a lot of people tend to use only manual, but for me I've always stuck with semi-automatic, a little bit of a guilty pleasure of my heart, but I still don't find it being a disadvantage. Sometimes being completely reliant on semi-automatic will have an adverse effect, but for the most part I'm quite happy with semi-automatic. Now I'm going to give it a bit more acceleration here than necessary, and I'm going to end up crashing here in the Fuji Speedway, ruining such a wonderful MV Agusta and throwing it into the scenery. Bit of a mistake on my part for just getting a little bit too aggressive. Now the issue is that I've been aggressive all the way through this Grand Prix, but as the tyre life is beginning to deplete, I made one mistake too many and forced the bike into an early retirement almost. My mistake, and I do apologise to all the MV Agusta fans out there because I winced as well chucking that bike into the scenery. It's not nice to see a most magnificent motorcycle chucked into the bin almost for being a little bit too aggressive on the acceleration. Now I've got to be honest with you, it hurts crashing. I don't like crashing in any video game, not because of this, I've crashed, but I don't like to see the bikes ruined and destroyed almost as the MV Agusta was there. And so with that in mind, I'm going to do it again. Goodness me. Just trying to trail brake into that corner, and then a little bit too much acceleration on the outside. Made a little bit of a mishap here in Fuji. And now it seems typical that I've done 6 laps absolutely perfectly without any issues whatsoever. Granted a couple of penalty time here and there. I like the way the game calculates a penalty as well. First it will tell you that it's being investigated, and then straight after it, with a couple, maybe a second or two, it will tell you whether it's going to be a good thing or a bad thing, so whether it says no penalty or if you're given an increment of penalty time. It seems to only hover in 2.5 tenths of a second increments, so you can go from 2 tenths to 1 second, 1.5. Everything is roughly 2.5 tenths of a second each, or half a second, which I'm quite fine with. It gets a little bit silly when you're talking 16,000 of a second penalty or 1.3 seconds. We just bin the bike into the Dunlop corner once again. As you can see, the front tyre is absolutely screaming right now. It has had enough. It wants to be taken off the MV Agusta and probably put into the bin. And therefore we paid the price going into the Dunlop curve there. My mistake once again. This game does give you a good sense of I'm pushing too much, and this bike is beginning to struggle as the race progresses. You do get that sense of I'm going to have to take things a little bit steadier here, but I got into a little bit of a routine, a little bit of a rut, and I just continued to push, and I didn't even think about the consequences, and therefore the crashes came. So let's now take a look at the MSC, have a little look at the tyres, because that is what's glowing red right now, and as you can see on the rear tyre, 44% life left in this rear tyre. Not looking promising, but of course we only have half a main straight to go, and that is a victory for us, but it is very in depth. You can see the left and right shoulder conditions. You can have a look at the tread condition. It'll tell you the temperature, how much pressure is inside the tyre, what stress we're causing on the tyre. It is extremely in depth. I don't know if I covered this in detail last time, so I wanted to cover it a little bit more here. And of course, looking at different parts on the bike, you will see certain amount of life expectancy in particular parts, and certain things that could do with repairing, and some things to be replaced as the race concludes. But guys, that is going to be another successful DrAce victory right here in RiMS Racing, courtesy of the Fuji Speedway on board the MV Agusta F4. So guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, like, comment and subscribe. Hit the notification bell to be alerted to every single DrAce upload. And upon that note guys, thank you very much for watching. Ciao for now. Oh hi, didn't quite see you there. Good to see you're still here. If this video didn't quite set your appetite, then why not watch some more DrAce content by clicking the video shown on screen now. Furthermore, if you would like to follow me on social media, you can do so now with the links down in the description. Consider subscribing so you don't miss a single DrAce video.